And we are on Films Gone Wild. We're going to talk about the film Never Too Late, the Doc Severinsen story. We have the directors, Kevin Bright and Jeff Consiglio here. Guys, welcome to Films Gone Wild.
Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, lots to talk about with this film in particular. And let's start off by introducing our audience who have not yet seen. I'm sure they assume that it's about Doc Severinsen, but tell them a little bit more about what the film is about.
Kevin.
Oh, okay. My turn to tell.
Kevin's up.
Well, what the film is about is it's about not accepting the common perception of what aging means, and the common perception of when you stop contributing, when you stop producing in life. And Doc is just so off the charts as a human being in so many ways. I mean, I think, we as people look at Doc and go, oh my, everything that aging represents in terms of what happens to people physically and mentally. He is the living proof that it doesn't have to be that way. And part of it is because he found something to commit himself to that keeps him young, and that's the trumpet. Playing trumpet every day at 92 years old for up to 4 hours a day takes a lot of wind, takes a lot of physical strength. So through his commitment to his job, as you've seen so many times, no matter what somebody does in life, if they're doing their job at 100, they're still feeling young. So that's what Doc in the movie is about to me.
Well, I think, I think it is a wonderful film in that it goes so far beyond what a base expectation of what a film about Doc Severinsen would be. Because yes, of course, depending on your age, depending on your reference point, we're all familiar with the Tonight Show and the fact that he became such a television icon because of that show. But this film goes much deeper than that. It goes through a much more of of literally an epic life. And here's the thing that I really appreciated about it. To your great credit as filmmakers on this film, it doesn't just show us the warts and all approach, so to speak, but it actually gives us insight with his invitation into the challenges, the issues that he had personally, the things that he went through either with career or with family. And I'm thinking of another couple of films that I've seen recently about, again, very famous musicians, and expressed disappointment because I said, something, it really was just a kind of like a greatest hits rundown. And while I love their music, it was like, I wanted more because I know there was more going on. So now that I've set you guys up for obviously praising you up and down the street about the film, what I would love for you both to talk about is your approach to the film, and if that changed at some point, either through things that you learned in the making or the access that you were getting, where you said, oh, this is a little bit of a different animal than what we thought it was when we first, got it into the corral. So whoever wants to start.
Answering just to set it up for both of us, did it change the story? Every single month from when the film started. So Jeff, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first big change was that we thought we were making a little movie about this guy, a sliver of his life. And then as soon as we met him, you just fall in love with this guy. You just do. I fell in love with him the moment I met him. The way he looked at me and said something funny, I'm like, oh my God, he's like my grandpa. I just love him. So right away, we knew we're probably going to tell a bigger story than we were thinking. And then he opened up to us about his life. And you're like, oh my God, look at what this guy has done and what the things that he's pushed himself through.
But
And
even
then you realize that he pushed himself through these things because of that discipline he had that he created around that trumpet. You know, that the trumpet is such a huge, hungry thing that requires all this discipline, but so does your life. And that's what Doc did, was he was able to get through every difficult thing in his life because he worked that muscle that says, do it, just get up and do it. And that's so inspiring, and that well is deep. That's a very deep well to go into to tell the story. So the change, like Kevin said, the changes just started adding up, getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Our little movie became a 1.5 year long thing.
and then, you know, once we were welcomed into his life and we started to get to know Doc, then we started to see little vapor trails of story that felt like, ooh, this is something that could really glue the film together. For example, one of them was a possible reunion with Doc and his two adopted daughters, who we had become separated from for a while, and and they were just starting to become reunited. So we were interested in that story. The story that once you hang out with Doc, you get to know in 5 minutes. He has this amazing love of the wild Mustang. He has a fascination, a boyish fascination about imagining himself on the back of a wild Mustang. And so we were kind of looking to make that happen for a period of time, and thinking, oh, that horse thing, that horse calling him, that's going to be the thing that glues it together. And then, you know, sometimes you just stumble on the thing that's in front of your face the whole time, the simplest but correct approach to us anyhow. And that is, this is a story about a man and his true love. And his true love is the trumpet. That's his first true love. It's not he loves to play the trumpet. He loves that damn trumpet. And as I just said before, the only reason his new relationship works is he finally hooked up with a trumpet player. And so now the menage a trois works, you know, they're both in love with the other object in the middle. So, you know, I know that sounds a little bit weird, but you know.
It's a hilarious moment, at least it was to me, in the film when Doc is in the hospital, and you know, and his wife is, you know, is just talking casually, and then says, yeah, we need to get him his mouthpiece, you know, and it's like the thing of like, you know, if he's on life support, can someone just bring him his mouthpiece, and that and he'll regenerate somehow.
It is true. I mean, that's another thing you would write in a dramatic script and someone would say, come on, that's too corny. But it is true. Doc would sit there on his deathbed blowing that mouthpiece, which, as you know, if you've ever heard someone blow a mouthpiece of a trumpet without a trumpet attached to it, it's exactly like a kazoo. That's
Right.
what a kazoo is. So it's this hilarious thing where he's literally doing something that's very important to his craft, and it sounds like a kazoo.
Right. Now I want to take a moment for the two of you to talk about filmmaking, because you're directing tandem on this project. You're a team, and you know, and oftentimes, you know, when we have directing teams, it's because one of the directors is really the editor, and the other director was doing the interviews, or you know, or one director was, the compartmentalization oftentimes falls into one or two categories. And so I would love to hear, because you guys are a couple of vets, how you guys teamed up to do this one.
Well, you know, I think Jeff and I have just enough age difference between us, where at this point in our careers, we're interested in different aspects of the filmmaking process that we really enjoy getting into. And Jeff, you know, is an editor in his background, and he loves to edit, but at the same time, he was not looking to edit this film. So for me, my focus was Doc. I did a lot of the initial research. I did do the interviewing, and when we were on the location, I kept Doc as my focus, and I tried to be, while Jeff was concentrating on capturing everything that we needed to capture, and us being able to talk about, ooh, we like that, we want to remember that, or whatever it was when we were both together. I was focused solely on Doc, and Jeff really took care of everything else. So, you know, so I think,
Yeah, Kevin was Kevin's the one who came up with the idea, talking to Nancy, and who's the first one who went and talked to Doc. So Kevin forged the first relationship. So it became clear pretty quickly that, Kevin should manage Doc. Plus they came from the same world, right? They can talk the same language because they both did the same thing in slightly different ways. So it happened very quickly that I said, look, just don't worry about the crew. Let me figure out how to shoot this. You just get Doc is looking at you. Go talk to him. Just go talk to him. And so that became it for the rest of the production. It's like Kevin just sort of managed with Doc, and then I managed the crew, and then we would talk about what happened at the end of the day every day.
Right. The last question I had is again, as you guys were mapping this thing out, and because oftentimes, again, on a documentary project, you're outlining things, and then you're dropping in interviews and footage that you find and whatever to meet the story points that you'd kind of previously mapped out. And then sometimes you're just going along for the ride. And trying to figure out where the hell this thing is going to take you, and trying to figure out just what your ending is going to be. So I would love for both of you to kind of talk about that, because it seems to me that you kind of had both of those things going on with this project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this thing, first of all, we had an amazing editor, Brad Allgood, who was game for everything, which was great, because we sort of built this gigantic Wikipedia of Doc's life. It was a massive thing that tried to cover everything. And then we had to whittle that down to try to find the islands we wanted to construct. And along the way, of the post-production, as we were building the story, it became clear that we were missing one key thing. And this was another tribute to Kevin for seeing this and then taking the action to do it. And that is his third wife, Emily, in Mexico, which is if you haven't seen the film yet, it's a big part of the story, giant part of his life. For 30 years, he was married to this woman, and he lived through all the Tonight Show years pretty much with her. And yet she was not in his life now. So we didn't have access to that. And Kevin said, this is what we need in the middle of our film. We need this part of his life. So Kevin picked up the phone and made the phone call and made it happen. Next thing you know, we were on a plane to San Miguel, Mexico. And we interviewed Emily, and we found out this whole new world of what that part of his life was like. And that created this big bridge in the story. So that was a big discovery along the way.
Yeah. Wow, that is a huge discovery. Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, it is a remarkable look at an iconographic figure that really just gives us so much insight, and a lot of. I oftentimes say that documentaries are either I had no idea about that, or I thought I had an idea about that, but I had no freaking idea about that actually. And this one I think falls into that second category. So congratulations on that, guys. Again, the film is Never Too Late, the Doc Severinsen story. We've been talking to co-directors Kevin Bright and Jeff Consiglio. The film is screening at Sound Unseen Film and Music Film Festival. Again, it's been wonderful talking to you both.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it?